We're sitting in
Pleasure,
positive
Eleni.
territory on the equity front. Gold is starting to show a little bit of hesitation, but we have been seeing it rallying significantly. Where to from now? Do you think we're going to start seeing a bit of positivity coming through, or do you think this is just a little bit of reprieve in an overall negative scenario?
I think obviously the sovereign debt issues in Europe are a problem. We'll get some clarity on Thursday about that, and as well as the debt ceilings in the United States. And that will be coming clear by the 2nd of August. So I think that is what's holding everything in bay. I think people can't put on too aggressive positions either on the short side or on the long side, because they have to wait for some type of clarity on the sovereign debt issue. So you start to see a nice pullback in the markets. The people take off their shorts and wait and see, and then you start to see the longs come back in, and they take it off just after a little bit of profit. So no one's taking really decisive long-term trades at the moment. So we're starting to see a much thinner volumes trading on the exchange over the last week or two.
Well, Rob, I mean, at this point in time, as I mentioned, we're starting to see the platinum miners also enjoying gains, and I suppose they have been very hard hit. The likes of Amplat's up almost 3% in today's session. We're also seeing Implats recovering quite nicely. Again, are you seeing decisive decisions being made there and decisive trading, or would you say that, again, it's just a little bit of positivity in an overall negative picture?
I think if you take a look at Amplat's, Lonmin and Implats, yesterday they reached 52-week low, so a year low. And I think at that year low we saw some buying coming in, but we saw Amplats up at about 3.5%. It's already come back down to 2%. So 3% is enough. People taking money off the table already, with a platinum price at $1,780 to $1,780. A little bit of money coming off the table. So just a slight move in there, and you start some money coming. You see some money coming off the table. So not 100% decisive. Not very big asset manager trades coming onto the market at these levels just yet.
With regards to the gold miners, we've also seen quite a bit of positivity. I mentioned a little earlier the gold price in rand terms also hitting record levels, and it seems that it's starting to show that the gold miners, when we see a rand gold price right now, it's starting to show that we could see quite a bit of profits coming through, something that a lot of investors have been putting big question marks around for some time.
Yes, obviously their costs have been quite high over the last few months, but they've controlled them enough, and the strike action hasn't impacted them too much. The fuel price with the strong rand has been kept at bay. So I think with the rand gold price where it is now, these gold miners are making a lot of cash. Goldfields making really good money here, very highly geared. Harmony Gold making a lot of highly geared to the rand dollar price of gold. So Harmony also seen come from the mid-80s all the way back into the hundreds now, and the miners in the short term are making a lot of money, and hopefully we'll see that through in some dividends finally, and some good dividends coming through for these from these stocks.
Okay.
So at the moment, a gold price 1,600 and above, I'll still be long the golds.
Okay, so what about the diversified miners, BHP Billiton, Anglo American? We know that there's a new deal that has come through for BHP with regards to Petrohawk. Where would you be putting your money, or would you buy into both diversified miners?
I think you'd buy into both. Billiton is looking to get far bigger into the oil and gas business. They say that over the next 10 years they're going to put in $180 billion worth of investments and increase their capacity, especially in the oil side and shale gas side. So Billiton really looking for the growth in the oil side. Anglo's more on the precious metal side, on the platinum side, as well as big deposits of iron ore. So if you take a look at China, your view is that China will carry on growing, you take Anglo and Billiton on that call. And if you're just thinking that on the shale gas side, you'll look at Billiton. But I think both of them have been hit quite hard, and the long-term view, both of them are showing good value.
Okay, so Rob, we've had trading updates coming through for Woolies and of course Shoprite yesterday. Woolworths, of course, taken up quite nicely by the investor community, I think showing growth of around 30%, or possible headline earnings per share increasing by as much as 30%. It's been reflected in the share price, and when you juxtapose that against Shoprite, where the market wasn't too impressed yesterday.
Yes, I think very good numbers out of Woolworths. Their clothing retail section was up nearly 11%, looking like really strong numbers there. Obviously they've got the mix of their clothing brands right. They saw a little bit of a decrease in the food side, and that you can see similar to Shoprite, where they're seeing a little food deflation coming through. But on the clothing side, very good. They've opened a lot of new stores. They've converted a lot of their franchise stores into fully owned Woolworths stores, and that's also showing increased volume for them. So all in all, a very good number from Woolworths. The only thing that's really dragging them down a little bit is Country Road in Australia. That was down on a year-to-year basis of about 10%. So the market in Australia is looking really weak. And they'll have to start to move probably into Africa, similar to Shoprite, to get a little bit of extra growth out of their current South African holdings and maybe into the African market as well.
Okay, so which would be your preferred play then? Would you look into Shoprite, who yes has had perhaps softer numbers than the market had expected, but has a very strong footprint on the continent, or Woolworths, where we know has come off a low base, has recovered quite nicely, but still needs to embark on significant capex spend to have a significant footprint in Africa?
Yeah, they are quite different businesses in such as that Woolworths is slightly more higher end focused than Shoprite. Moving into Africa, I think Shoprite has got really good growth potential. If you take the rand exchange rate out of it, their growth in Africa was about 10%, which just show you where real growth is coming from. And the African continent really does supply a lot of growth for new entrants into that market. I think on a long-term view, if Shoprite get their strategy into Africa right, you'll probably see excessive growth there, or you'll see good growth on Woolworths in the South African terms. So on a long-term view, if you believe the strategy that can be delivered by Shoprite, I think you'll get more growth out of Shoprite over a 5-year period.